In your 20s and 30s, you're exposed to the most diverse sets of thoughts that you'll ever have. New jobs, shifting relationships, changing friendships, just constant movement across your life. And as a result, your mind can sometimes feel like a pinball machine. Are you sure this is the right person for you? Are you sure that this is the best career move to make next? Should you live somewhere else? Why are you still friends with that person from when you were 5 years old? And with all these thoughts come a bunch of feelings too. Feelings like, am I falling behind? Am I missing out? I don't really feel like I know what I'm doing, or I feel like I'm suffering from imposter syndrome. All of this is entirely normal, but we are so rarely told that. In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you how it's possible to change your relationship with your thoughts and feelings, and how doing that changes how you can experience your life more positively. And towards the end of the video, I'll give you a simple tool that you can practice right away to make this tangible for you. If you're interested in more tools and ideas like today's one, just jump into the links in the description down below. As you move into your 30s, your friends and colleagues start having kids. And when that happens, you notice something. Kids treat everything as fact, as truth. Things are either right or they're wrong. You're either right or you're wrong. There's no space between hearing or seeing something and reacting, because everything is just binary. And that's kind of the point for kids. It's how they learn. And that's mostly because consequences aren't really real for them yet. So it creates a safe learning environment, hopefully. But once you notice this pattern of treating thoughts or feelings as facts and just acting on them, you start to see it a lot in the adults around you too. Some more than others, and in particular when it comes to people who feel like they're just reacting on autopilots or rejecting things consistently. A stimulus and a response. Except as adults, consequences become very real. And I think that's one of the really tough things we grapple with in our 20s and 30s, trying to get that balance right. For much of my 20s, I was very much caught in this trap as well. I'd have thoughts or feelings and feel compelled to respond to them. They felt like something that needed some form of response, even if that form of response was just to try and avoid them. And the tough part is that we're told that this is the time of our life that we're supposed to be optimizing and maximizing to make the most of every moment. But sifting through all of these thoughts and feelings constantly bombarding us starts to become pretty draining. It can feel like a tug of war, pulled around by thoughts and feelings, ending up overwhelmed, confused, or just feeling like you're going through large periods where you are out of control. And I think it all boils down to one main problem. And that happens when we treat thoughts and feelings as truth, as if they know something that we don't. Once you realize that you are not your thoughts, a fundamental shift happens. And what really helped me to get there was not treating my thoughts and feelings as truth, but instead thinking about them as an overly eager colleague at work on a busy workshop floor. They're well-intentioned, they're trying to help. They hear or notice something and they're off, scuttling back and forth, grabbing things off shelves, grabbing ideas that once worked before, throwing out options, piling them around you in the hope that something sticks or appears useful. And that's often what it can feel like our mind is trying to do when it comes to offering up different thoughts and feelings across a number of different situations. But being caught in the middle of all of that activity on the workshop floor actually normally restricts us down to a couple of options, and neither of which are typically optimal. The first option is that we feel like we're just caught in the middle of everything. We grab the nearest thing that's being offered up and we act on it. And this is similar to the idea of treating thoughts and feelings as truths. We react impulsively. But later, we often regret how we behaved or lament the fact that our choices weren't actually that intentional or aligned with the idea of who we want to be or what we want to be choosing to spend our time doing. And the second option when we're caught in all this flurry of activity on this workshop floor of ideas and thoughts and feelings is that we just walk away. There's just too much going on the workshop floor at the time. So we just opt out, we step off the floor completely. And occasionally that's actually exactly the thing that we should do. But if we continuously do that time and time again, then that also doesn't lead us to where we want to go and who we want to be. And what I learned in my 30s is that there's actually a third option, but it involves changing our relationship with our thoughts and feelings and offering up a different perspective of how we relate to them. I realized that my job is not to obey my thoughts and feelings, nor is it to run away from them. Instead, my job really is to manage the process, to step back and above the workshop floor, to oversee what's being offered up, and during that process choose what's actually useful for who I'm trying to be or what I'm hoping to do. Now that's easier said than done. Thoughts and feelings are complicated, and this is a lifelong skill. It's not something that we just go through a period of organization once and then have everything solved for the rest of our lives. So the aim of this video is certainly not to try and act as though it will solve everything for you, because it can't and it never will. The aim of this video is simply to show you that there is an alternative way to change your relationship to what your mind produces and offers up in certain situations. So what I want to give you now is the simple skill that helps you just take 1 or 2 steps back and up away from the workshop floor and that flurry of activity. Because doing that gives you enough space to let thoughts and feelings move around without feeling like you either have to act on them or feel tempted to walk away from them. Because once you create that space, choice and intentional choice starts to become possible as to what you want to do with those different thoughts and feelings. This skill I'm about to teach you comes from acceptance and commitment therapy, a clinically proven approach that I use in my coaching. If you want to find out more, again, there's some links in the description down below. Right, so here's the tool. All you have to do is remember to say, I am having the thought that, or I am noticing the feeling of, and then just complete that sentence. So for example, when you're faced with a certain situation, the first thing to do is just notice that there are thoughts or feelings that are creating that flurry of activity on the workshop floor. That's really the first step, just noticing that actually what is going on around you is your mind offering up a bunch of different options. That's really the first step, just noticing that activity. And then the second is to try and name that particular thought or feeling that feels most relevant in that moment. So for example, I'm having the thought that I don't know what I'm doing. Or I am having the thought that I am falling behind. Or I am noticing a feeling of anger, jealousy, loneliness, whatever it might be. Because that single sentence, and by saying I am having the thought or I am noticing the feeling, that's the crucial bit that creates that distance. You're no longer on the workshop floor amongst all that flurry of activity. Instead, that's the crucial part that allows you to take a step up and back and start looking at the activity itself. And from there, thoughts and feelings become options, not orders. Not truths you must act on or realities that you feel like you need to escape from. And it's this perspective that gives you choice, the ability to respond intentionally rather than to just react automatically. Kids react or run away automatically, but as adults we can learn to pause, notice, name, and then choose our next response. Now the crucial thing to remember is that this is a skill, and like any skill, it improves with practice. We can't expect to just have mastered it straight off the bat. So pause this video right now. Go ahead and just write down on a piece of paper, I am having the thought that, I am noticing the feeling of, I am having the thought that. And then what you can do is just tear this piece of paper off and carry it with you during the day. And then at different points during the day, you can just take this piece of paper out and complete one of the sentences with whatever thought is coming up for you in that particular moment. And by doing that, all you're simply doing is acknowledging the thought, you're noticing it, you're naming it, and then you're reminding yourself that you can have a thought or a feeling and you can push yourself back and away from that and look at it and then choose what you want to do with it. Maybe you do need to take an action on it straight away, but maybe you don't. Maybe it's just about putting that feeling away or putting that thought away and coming back to it later. But all of that starts with realizing that you can notice the thought, name it, and then normalize that everyone has these thoughts and feelings. Each time you do this, you're training your mind to step back off that busy workshop floor, to recognize that thoughts and feelings aren't commands. And this is how we build a healthier relationship with our minds and a more effective relationship with our thoughts and feelings over time. Not by shutting them up, not by obeying everything that they say, but by choosing deliberately how we respond in a way that feels more aligned with what we want to spend our time doing and the sort of person that we want to be in the long term. Now, if you struggle to answer those 2 questions about how you want to spend your time or who you want to be, you might want to watch this video next.